Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Township of North Frontenac's council meeting for Friday, October the 4th. Forgot this. Just a notice before we start the meeting. Please be advised, North Frontenac council meetings are recorded. By attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Members of council, staff, delegates, and attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behavior or comments. We begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place for the First Peoples and their ancestors who are entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the Indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the Township of North Frontenac is committed to working with Indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. So the first item is approval of the agenda. Item 6B, which is the Emergency Management Ontario, will not be part of the agenda today. It's been withdrawn for another time. Okay. So, Sarah.
Moved by Councillor Hermer, seconded by Councillor Fowler. Be it resolved that council approves the agenda dated October 4th, 2024 as amended to remove item 6B, presentation from Emergency Management Ontario.
Is there any discussion? In favor? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Business profile, Myers Cave Resort.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the business profile of Myers Cave Resort provided by the Economic Development Task Force.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. Presentation 6A, Economic Development Task Force, Unveiling of Murals. I'd like to turn this over to Councillor Regent. She's the head of the Economic Development Task Force. So, Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm so thrilled to be asked to do this year. So I have a Kleenex somewhere in case I tear up a little, because I teared up a little last year. But now I actually get to do this. So this is even better. So Brooke was kind enough to give me something that kind of explains, sorry, I'm standing in the way, explains that. Oh, thank you. See? Kind of what this is all about. So I'm going to read this and then we'll go through each of the murals. So early in 2017, the Economic Development Task Force invited local artists to participate in a program designed to showcase local artists, beautify the area, and provide a unique attraction for residents and visitors alike. Since then, the Economic Development Task Force invites 5 artists annually to complete murals, and they are placed at different locations around the township. This year, the mural project has been another success, and we are excited to unveil 5 new murals. To the artists, we are extremely grateful for your talent and willingness to contribute to our amazing community. So the first one, Michelle Ross. The name of the mural is Aurora Borealis, Dancing Above North Frontenac. And we are putting this one at the Shabamika Lake boat launch. Oh. Yeah, anyone else here? I'm gonna carry it over. Oh, okay. I think let's take the photos. Yeah. Wherever you like. Okay. Yeah. Okay, our second one, Ann Garrett. The name of the mural is Afternoon Delight, and this is being displayed at South Bush Road, otherwise known as Crotch Lake at the boat launch. Yes.
And how do you find this stuff to paint on the surface? Is it not hard? No grain?
Our third mural is from Penny Holly. The name of the mural is The Canadian Mississippi, and this mural is being dedicated to her father, Ed Johnston. The next mural is named Frontenac Trilliums, and it's from Roxanne Bay, and it's being displayed at Buckshot Lake Boat Launch.
I struggled with it. It's one of my second.
Oh, it's lovely. our last mural is from Brian and Leanne Bailey. It's named called Look Mama, and it's to be displayed at Koch Cove Lane, Cache Lake Boat Launch. Thank you, everybody. That's lovely. And I really appreciate the participation. I think actually when we had our meeting and to discuss this, we had a lot of fun. Picking where we would put these and hoping people would be interested. So. I think, did someone mention there was cake? Cake for breakfast. Thank you very much.
So council will take a 10-minute break, okay? And then we'll come back to the meeting. And I gather there is cake, so make. Welcome back, everybody. Next item on the agenda is item 7, delegations. We don't have any. The next item is item 8, adoption of the minutes.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer, be resolved the council adopts the minutes as circulated of the following. A joint council meeting with Addington Highlands held September 9th, 2024, and a regular meeting of council held September 12th, 2024.
Is there any discussion? Councilor Deputy Mayor.
Are we, as a result of the joint meeting, planning on a future one? Is there any talk of doing this on a regular basis?
Not that I'm aware of, and I'm not promoting it. At least not at this time.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, in favor of the resolution? That resolution is carried. Item 9, business arising out of the minutes. Before we go into it, Brooke, you wouldn't mind.
Yes, thank you. Just a short update. You guys probably received your email yesterday, but Canada Post was successful in securing a location in Plevena. So that's 7428 Road 506 Plevena, and they're planning to open up on October 28th. So the hard work is paid off and we are getting a post office back.
And I kind of jumped ahead of the resolution. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler, whereas at the meeting held September 12th, 2024, council received for information an email dated September 4th, 2024 from the manager of community development, advising Canada Post received an application from a constituent for a post office, and that if the interview with the applicant was successful, Canada Post would proceed with a site visit to assess the suitability of the premises. Therefore, be resolved that council receives a verbal update from the manager of community development regarding the status of the application.
Everybody have the discussion. All in favor of the resolution? That resolution's carried. Thanks, Brooke. Appreciate it. And thanks to everybody else who participated, encouraged us, and kept the fires going on it. Item 9B, appointment of emergency information officer.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer, be it resolved the council receives for information resolution 26021 designating the economic development officer as the emergency information officer. And that as the township no longer has an EDO position, council designates the position of CAO executive assistant as the emergency information officer and will consider a bylaw to amend the emergency management program later in the meeting.
Are there any comments? Deputy Mayor?
Pardon my ignorance, that's Brooke Drexler, is that correct? No? Caitlin.
Anybody else? In favor of the motion? Carried. Item 10, 10A, communications of interest.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved that council receives for information Section A items of the clerk's administrative report entitled Communications of Interest.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. Item B1, Siegel Construction, developing attainable or seniors housing through a municipal housing corporation.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved that council receives for information an email dated September 16th, 2024 from Daniel Sagel Construction requesting a delegation to council to discuss a proposal to develop attainable or seniors housing at market rates through a municipal housing corporation. And the council invites Mr. Sagel to attend an upcoming council meeting to present his proposal. And the council instructs the clerk to provide Mr. Sagel with available delegation dates.
Any comments on this? Counselor Fowler,
I think it's in the right direction. I'd like to see us put more effort into getting senior housing in this township.
Deputy Mayor.
Well, it does remind me and sort of bring into question again, where exactly are we on housing? Like, there's a council committee looking at seniors affordable housing. That's been quiet for a while. And that group was looking at a contribution from the county, which with inflation becomes more and more trivial in terms of any project. But also the Economic Development Task Force has a subgroup looking at what we call affordable housing. This uses the term attainable housing. I have no idea what that means.
Attainable housing is the term for affordable housing. And the definition is 80% of the value of the houses in the adjacent neighborhood. So if you're in $1 million neighborhood, attainable or affordable is considered $800,000.
That's just one definition.
That's the province's definition.
Well, another definition from the CMHC is 30% of gross income. So which do we address? In any case, just looking at numbers in the past, however you come up with raising money, and this is through some kind of a bond issue, I think. I don't see how you can get affordable housing without government subsidy.
The municipal housing corporations are they're a common factor across Ontario. A lot number of municipalities have them and so on. It's a way of isolating them. You set the corporation up on the organization. They get set up for different grants and subsidies and so on and so forth. But we would be providing it. So I'd like to hear from Mr. Sagel and see what it is. Won't hurt. Half an hour of our time.
Yeah, my comments are not meant to say that he shouldn't present. I'm very much looking forward to hearing what he has to say. Maybe it's something I haven't heard about.
So the $337,500 the county has had sitting in a reserve for us is now about 338 or 439 or something. But the kicker with that is great, but the kicker with that is for every one of those $337,000, we have to put in two. So that's a $675,000 or $680,000 contribution from us. That's 10% of our annual budget. So it's big dollars, and you end up housing more people. So there's another way to do this where we can have a greater benefit for the individuals or the people who want to live there, seniors housing, people who need a helping hand and so on. Let's hear about it. Any other comments? In favor of the resolution? That resolution is carried. 11A, Boundary Road Allowance Closure and Bylaw Withers and Bell.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler. Be resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Boundary Road Allowance Closure and Sale Bylaw Withers and Bell. That is required by bylaw 2023. All those parts of the boundary road allowance between lot 19 concession 1 geographic township of South Canonto and lot 32 concession 6 geographic township of Palmerston, being parts 3 and 4 on registered plan 13R19993, be declared a surplus and sold to the adjoining owners, and that appraisal of the property is not necessary as this is a boundary road agreement. And the council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to stop up, close, and sell the identified portion of the boundary road.
Any comments? In favor of the resolution? Resolution's carried. Item 11B, Shore Road Allowance Application for Approval in Principle, Noy.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Application for Approval in Principle, Noy, and that council approves in principle the application to close, stop up, and sell the Shore Road Allowance as described as part of the Shore Road Allowance lying adjacent to Fire Lot 24, Concession 7, Geographic Township of Berry, Marble Lake.
Comments? In favor of the motion? Carried. Item 11C, Concession Road Allowance Closure, Sani and Willis.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Road Allowance Closure for Approval in Principle, Pisani Willis, and that council approves the application to close, stop up, and sell a portion of the concession road allowance between Lot 38, Concessions 6 and 7, Geographic Township of Clarendon to the adjacent property owner in accordance with the road closing policy. And that the clerk shall notify the adjacent property owner to discuss purchasing half of the road allowance.
Are there any comments? In favor of the motion? Carried. 11D, Post Bylaw to regulate fences within the township of North Frontenac.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Proposed Bylaw to Regulate Fences within the Township of North Frontenac, and the council will consider the bylaw to regulate fences later in the meeting.
Any comments? Counselor Fowler?
Yeah, I looked at this pretty close and I think it's a good idea that we turn this into a bylaw and taking it away from the zoning bylaw under the fences. In section 315 fences. It makes things a little bit more clear for people who want to put up fences.
Anyone else? Any additional comments? In favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Item 11E, request for reimbursement of Shore Road allowance fees.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, seconded by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Request for Reimbursement of Shore Road Allowance Fees, and the council chooses option number 2 and instructs the clerk to advise the property owner of council's decision. And the council authorizes the treasurer to reimburse $9,674.05, including HST, to the property owner.
Comments? Counselor Fowler?
I was looking over this thing and who was really at fault for the mistake that happened there? That we would have to end up paying people money later on.
Personally, I think we're getting off fairly easy here. If it was me on the other side, I'd be looking at a lost sale. That's just a thought. Tara?
I think it really is the lawyer at the time that the property was registered inappropriately. So what happened is the property, and we're aware that there's a couple of properties along there with the same issue. The property owner, like many years ago, 80s, I'm guessing, registered the Shore Road allowance as part of the property without going through the proper channel of closing it and purchasing it. So there's no transfer, there's no bylaw, they just registered it. So then that kind of sat in the registry office. So then when someone does a title search, they go back and they see that the Shore Road allowance is there, but then they go back and say, but where's the bylaw? Where's the transfer? Those pieces were missing. So that made a title error. And so in our records, it appears, and in the registry record, it appears that they own the Shore Road allowance. But when you actually do that title search, the proper process wasn't used. And that came out in title search. So that's kind of how the problem happened. And until someone goes to sell or get a mortgage and someone does a full title search, those things don't come up. This isn't really uncommon.
Corey?
And when Tara says that the solicitor lawyer made an error, that's not the township's lawyer solicitor, that's the the constituent's lawyer.
That was gonna be my next question. Okay,
And
thanks.
we think that's what it is. We can't prove that. Any other comments? In favor of the resolution? Carried. Item 11F, Community Emergency Preparedness Grant.
Moved by Counselor Harbert, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved that council receives for information the Director of Emergency Services Fire Chief's Administrative Report entitled Community Emergency Preparedness Grant 2024-2025. And the council directs the Director of Emergency Services Fire Chief to proceed with the application for the Community Emergency Grant for 2 variable messaging trailers, 10 Hytera portable radios, 4 portable LED scene lights, and 20 first responder flashlights. The council directs the CIO to sign the application and enter into an agreement upon the township's successful application for funding.
Any comments? In favor of the resolution? Carried. Item 11G, Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan 2024 to 2028.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the Public Works Manager's Administrative Report entitled Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan 2024 to 2028. And the council approves the draft 2024 to 2028 ECDMP. And the council directs the Public Works Manager to implement the 2024 to 2028 ECDMP, aiming to reduce the township's energy consumption related costs and impact on the environment, and that the Public Works Manager will post the ECDMP on the township's website and place a hard copy in the office for access by the public in accordance with the applicable regulation.
Good comments. Deputy Mayor.
Congratulations on this, Darwin. It's pretty comprehensive. One question I had was, I hope this doesn't take too much staff time to gather and present all this information.
It was a big job this year. We report annually, but we do subscribe to a service that all of the tracking and the attachments and percentages and energy use and by facility, that's generated automatically, and just review it and bring it into the report. So it's not as onerous as it looks, but it is a pretty significant effort. But it is required by the act and the regulation that we do that we monitor it, report and update the report every 5 years.
And you know what my next comment is going to be? Probably half the energy we use is in the fleet. The fleet of township vehicles, trucks, and cars, and also staff vehicles to get to work. And that's not measured here. That's highly significant. Is there any way that we can bring that in, even though it's not legislated? I think it's worth looking at it and trying to figure out ways of reducing it.
That could be tracked, monitored and reviewed, but I wouldn't at any point bring it into being a component of this report. It doesn't require, I would do it separately, but I did mix the recommendations of some of the proposals, the items that we review or implement or consider over the next 5 years. There is a mix of fleet and small tool suggestions there that, really just don't relate to facilities and energy use, but I have included those.
Are you talking about the
I've talked about,
possible replacement of existing vehicles with EVs in the future?
that's right, yeah, and the small, like electric chainsaws and that are readily available now, and then the support for EV charging stations, and so that's somewhat beyond the scope of this, but I have included those as items that we would consider during the course of this next plan.
Councillor Fowler, you had a comment?
Yes, I'm looking at the list here in 2017. It was down significantly compared to 2019. In 2018, there was nothing going on. Was that during the construction of this building? Was that when that occurred?
Partly and more significantly was the renovation that we did of the shop here. So that impacted the functioning of the panels and the metering and the recording of the information. So that really related to the work we were doing during that period.
Councillor Hermer?
So none of this was in relationship to the age of the solar panels then?
No, not at all. We still have pretty consistent returns annually from the panels, 4,000 to 5,000 a year. Although I told Councillor Ingalls a while ago that it was per month, but that was a little aggressive.
So that's a 10 kilowatt system up there.
I couldn't say for sure.
That was part of the microfit process, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And that was money out of the province, right? Green Energy Act and so on. You remember what that was, or were you even here for that?
Sorry.
You pay the capital? There was no grant for that? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I remember. Slowly but surely. Anyway, actually, there was monies given up, but it might not have been to a commercial issue. It doesn't matter. My only concern about all this, I know we have to do it. I know it's a good thing, but just a cautionary note, energy management at a reasonable cost, not at any cost. And the farther we go down this road, the number or the amount of low hanging fruit is going to become less and less and less. And you get higher up in the tree, the amount of benefit you get becomes more minimal and the cost becomes greater. At some point in time, you're going to see this. Like you're looking at something with a 40-year simple payback that have a lifespan of 20 years. Why are we doing it? That's sort of thing. Anyway, does anybody else have anything to say? In favor of the resolution? Resolution carried. Okay, item 12A, Committee of Adjustment, Planning Advisory Committee.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, seconded by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment Planning Advisory Committee dated August 26, 2024.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. The Economic Development Task Force.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Engel, seconded by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the notes of the Economic Development Task Force dated September 23rd, 2024. And that due to a member resignation, council approves the manager of community development advertising for a new member of the EDGF for future consideration by council.
Brooke?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to add to this, we did actually receive a second, this one is a retirement. And I was hoping that we could amend the resolution today to allow me to advertise both vacancies during this advertisement.
Does anybody have any objection to that? So amended. Cool. Yes.
Sorry, Brooke,
Councilor Richard.
how do we advertise this? I can't recall how this works.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it'll be an advertising ad. It'll be posted in newspaper online. We'll select letters of interest. And then generally what happened last time was the chair and myself go through and then we'll make a recommendation to council.
Deputy Mayor?
Just to comment that if we had been at the time position of less than a year left in our mandate, we probably would carry on with the existing number, but we've got 2 years left. So my feeling is this is worth bringing us up to full complement still.
Anybody else have any comments? Seeing none, in favor of the amended motion? Carried. Environmental Task Force.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Engel, seconded by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the notes of the Environmental Task Force dated September 24th, 2024, and the council approves the terms of reference for the task force.
Any comments? Actually, I do. And I kind of wish full council was here. There are some items on that terms of reference list that seem to be, really shouldn't be there. And just write them down. Just let me find it here. Hang on. There's actual names included in there. Should that be as such? Like, it should be positions or whatever? Because names change, positions don't typically. there was something about timeframes. I can't read my own notes. That was basically it. There was just a couple things in there that seemed to be a little bit too generic as opposed to being a little more nebulous. So those of you who are on the task force, so Councilor Fowler, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Fowler? Any
I
comment?
think, I remember going through these, trying to get the terms of reference, done, and we wanted it to be vague, so it'll continue on. I think that was a general consensus.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little more than vague. I would like, if it's okay with council, I'd like the task force to take this back and take a second look at just, making it a little more nebulous. It's pretty definitive the way it is, and maybe a little bit too. I'm not complaining about the general direction, and the general terms of reference. It's just what's included with them maybe shouldn't be there.
Maybe you should, when you, this goes back to the, committee, maybe you should point out the things that you're concerned about. At that time.
I'm doing it here. You can carry this, Deputy Mayor.
Regarding the publication of names, task force meetings are open meetings. It's a public body. Am I correct in that, Eric? So I don't see a problem with publishing names. Member of the public wants to get in touch with, Bruce Moore, for example, because he's a member. He took on the position knowing that his name would be public, I'm pretty sure. So I don't see a problem there. And I'm not sure what you mean, Mr. Mayor, about nebulous and.
Right. So look at this. So here's the membership as appointed by council on April the 5th, 2024. And today is October the 4th. So on October the 6th, 2 of those members drop off. Now you have to change the actual terms of reference because they're out of date. If you want to include the names, then you should put that, I recommend you put it as an addendum to it and change as an appendix and change the appendix. It shouldn't be in the body. That's just my opinion. Time frame and meetings, the environmental task force constituted for approximately 2 years, commencing on August 28th, 24, and ending November 15th, 2026. That's absolutely true. But if you're looking for this task force to carry on beyond this time, should that actually be in here? Because now what you're doing is limiting it. And this is going to have to come back to the new council. If you want that, that's okay. I'm just suggesting you might want to look at that because you're tying yourself down to specifics that are going to create extra work for the committee in the long run.
I think that's normal, isn't it? That you reconstitute a task force at the beginning of
So
every.
yes, for your task forces, that's the procedure.
Am I
So
saying
that's
correct?
why you see it there.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. And
Okay. Sure.
just, and it's the same. So council is actually appointing each member. So it's pretty hard to not appoint by the names because each member is individually appointed by council and that's based on the recommendations of the chair, right? So once this is done, so they're working at their terms of reference now, right? And then so that terms of reference will come back at that date and yes, it will get changed in whatever that date is. It has to, because the new council has to decide whether or not they want to continue with this task force.
Okay.
So that's why that is.
Okay, so we get into the next council and we reconstitute this and member 2 drops off. Then you have to redo this again.
We have not done that in the past. It's just kind of stayed
We
that,
just
but
did it
but
for
it
the
has-
economic task force.
yeah, I don't think we
Development task
changed the
force.
terms of reference though, did we?
All
we
I'm
change it?
suggesting is,
Okay,
or change the title, terms of reference from X to Y. That'll take care of everything you got in here. So that's just my comments. I mean, the terms of reference in general are fine the way they are, in my opinion. It's just housekeeping. I just think we're tying yourself down too much, but that's just my opinion.
I thought you were objecting to the mission, vision and mandate.
Nope.
I'm glad to hear you're not. That was a problem to get with all these people.
It always is, and I'm looking forward to a lot of good things coming out of this task force. So anyway,
You may not think they're good when you see what the recommendations are from time to time.
We can always say no. Anyway, does anybody else have anything to say about this? Okay, in favor of the resolution? Opposed? That motion's carried. Item 13, giving notice of motion by a member of council to the clerk for council's consideration for inclusion on the next meeting agenda. Nope, that was 12, the different committees. We're in 13. Okay. So seeing none. 14, motions written notice of which has been given by a member of council and approved by council at a prior meeting. Seeing none. Item 15, councilors' verbal reports. So let me get to it. Okay, what has happened in the past month to 3 weeks? September the 18th, County Frontenac's Council met. We had a report on the paramedic situation, medical coverage. And it goes out to 2033. And it's a reflection of the baby boom generation and so on. The recommendation is 8 more ambulances. In today's prices, that's $250,000 an ambulance. But with each ambulance comes 8 to 12 paramedics at 100,000 plus per paramedic. So that's a big item. The Neighbors Saving Neighbors program is funded to the end of 2025. There was a proposal to create a central book-on center for the paramedics at the ambulances. They would go there in the morning, they'd pick up their ambulance and they'd go whatever. It excluded Robertsville, which is Snow Road, and excluded Farnham, because they're so far north. But that was a $40-some million building, etc. And that has been basically dropped. So they'll look to build more smaller stations, and they have to build a training facility. The final thing, well, there is a big issue, and we're facing it with our roads issues. Back in 2014, the county realized that they didn't have enough money in their reserves to maintain their buildings from a capital perspective. And they chose the most economical option for them at the time. I increased the budget 0.65% annually and put that into a reserve. As of today, they're about $3 million in the hole. So there's 3 options. Do nothing is not an option because the buildings will go this way and the reserve goes this way. So they're suggesting, I think it's 1 point something, not quite 2. And that won't be enough either. So my question to myself and the mayor of Frontenac Islands, is it enough? We will be looking at that. Because we'll be in the same boat, or the county will be in the same boat 10 years from now as they are today. And that 1.6, 1.7 we're looking at does not include inflation. So we'll see what this council decides to do. The final issue is the KNP Trail. Near and dear to everybody's heart, I know one of this is present in mind, one way or the other. It is being extended. It's being currently worked on, and by another month, it'll be up to Snow Road. And then it will probably just sit and vegetate until the expropriations through Snow Road are taken care of, and the expropriations at the Leonard Frontenac border are taken care of. And then we'll see what happens, because if you build the trail to there, and they can't extend it into Leonard, because Leonard has significant problems as well. What's the point? Like, own the land and get ready to go, but don't put any money into it until you absolutely have to. Because you're going to go up through 8 kilometers of swamp, you're going to turn around and come back to 8 kilometers of swamp. There's no trailhead at that end unless we build one. And the property at the northeast end of this trail is the one that's causing us a lot of grief. So, any questions about any of this? Deputy Mayor?
I was on county council back when that 0.65% was brought in, and the CAO at the time told us it was a 10-year plan to put enough money in reserves to manage the asset management plan. So turns out that's not the case, apparently. Is it because of inflation? Is it because of poor initial assessment of the buildings? And it seems like there's no guarantee that if you bring in 1.3% now, every year added to the budget, you don't know if in 5 years you're going to be catching up or not, apparently, given past experience. What do you learn from all this?
Well, look where we are with our roads asset right now. We know we're totally underfunded. We know we're going to have to seriously consider putting at least 1% away of our capital levy or of our municipal levy every year and increase it for at least 10 years, to probably even be a little bit more. But they're in the same boat. COVID hit, and that was just an excuse for everybody to say, let's jump on the bandwagon. We have supply chain issues. We have limited construction staffing. Your available staffing still exists. You name it, it was an excuse or a reason that everything went up in price. And quite frankly, it was probably underfunded at the beginning of that time. So at least we're asking the county council to take a look at, is this enough? And go on, whether we like it or not, I believe that gone are the 2 and 3% base taxes. We can get it down to 3 or 4. We'll get beyond it. We're gonna see. Anyway, any other comments? Okay. Next one up is trouble with an iPad is you'll lose it pretty quick. Councilor Good is not here. Southwest, Councilor Regent.
So Monday, this coming Monday, at the family health team to do governance training with Jan and Margaret, and then we're having our board meeting right after. And that will be Dr. Weldon's first board meeting. I have reached out to Land O'Lakes Community Services regarding what their interpretation of being a council liaison is. And then after some direction from our CAO this morning, I've given them an update. It would appear that really, basically, they should probably just provide me with some sort of minutes so that if there's something of interest, I can share it, but we'll see what happens with that. I do not have anything to report for the lake associations, obviously, at this time, and we're still waiting on the OPP.
So on Stephanie's comment about the Lakeland's Family Health Team, County Frontenac is doing a study on how to allow medical clinics in Frontenac County to work together to a greater degree than they currently do. And we were successful in getting them to include this particular family health team because it services both North Frontenac and Adding Island. So they've agreed to do that. And that came up at yesterday's breakfast, which, by the way, was really well done. So for the organizers of that, thank you. Councillor Hoodle is not here. Councillor Hermer.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Fowler.
EOTA, I expect we should have a meeting in another couple of weeks. And I missed the last one because they put it on a date that we had a county meeting. Forest Trails, nothing to report. County, we've already reported. Lake associations have nothing to report there. The SALT committee and North seniors and law enforcement together. We had a presentation with Community Cafe at Donpa Hall this last Wednesday, and the topic was fire safety. It was put on by firefighter Jackie Leach. She did a great job. Everybody loved it, and we had about 20 people attend the meeting, and we fed them after the presentation. That's it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Nothing to report. Perhaps Jim, who's a member of the Palmerston Lake Association, will have something to say after the meeting. I'm not sure.
Thank you. I want to go back to the KMP Trail just for a second. I have had a meeting with the CAO for the county and expressed my frustration with the lack of communication that's coming out of the council, out of the county. For instance, KMP Trail across the bridge, it's into the edge of our property. We didn't even know it was being built. And I'd asked 2 weeks before, when's it going to be built? And I was told we didn't have enough money until next year. So Councillor Fowler and I are asking, who's working on the trail? We thought it was a snowmobile club. But it wasn't. It was the County of Frontenac. So, we have that issue. I have that issue. And, after we've had numerous discussions with them saying, you've got to keep us in the loop. We want to support the North Frontenac. You've got to bring us in because right now you're alienating us. And now you've alienated not just one councillor who's been against us from day one, but now the mayor's upset. Because it is what it is. Okay. Should you? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, regarding that topic, I'm on the Planning and Economic Development Committee for the county, and we deal with the KMP Trail. And a few of our meetings have been canceled, and I didn't have any idea that construction was going on. And to me, there is a real bad communication problem there. I might be maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm not happy with it, and a lot of the people up in our area aren't happy with it either, because especially the people that are going through expropriation. And I'll say the same thing at the county meeting too.
Join you. The other thing though is, when I was visiting many of the artisans on the back row studio tour, we find out that there's already people coming north to Snow Road and making, spending their money in some of the local businesses. And that's really great. So you'll be able to start with a bicycle or hike from Kingston to Snow Road. Or if you want an ATV, you'll be able to get on it at Verona, because there's no motorized vehicles allowed south of Verona, all the way up to Snow Road. And eventually you'll be able to go anywhere in Eastern Ontario. But the trail has got to end at a place where there's some sort of population center, even though it's really small, or there's a parking lot, put your trailer and your truck or your car and your trailer or whatever. Just can't have them in the middle of a swamp. There was discussion about what a trailhead is and so on, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, because when you look at it, it means township money by the look of it. And I just don't think I should be racing that topic here at this point in time. Anyway, if there's nothing else, we'll leave that section of the agenda. Introduction and reading of bylaws.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Engels, seconded by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce the following bylaws that have been circulated to all members of council. 2024-58 to regulate the height and type of fences. 2024-59 to close, stop up and sell a boundary road allowance. 2024-60 to amend the emergency plan bylaw 8522. And that these bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Now we come to item 17, which is a public forum. Does anybody online or anybody in the council chambers wish to comment on some of the items that we discussed today? Yes, sir.
I just have to get you.
Okay, on the bylaw 2024-59, my name is not spelled correctly.
Okay.
There's no S on it. All the material I've received has been spelled correctly, but just this, what you just passed, is not spelled correctly.
We'll make that correction. Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody online, Kelly? I haven't seen anybody. Okay. So now we have to adjourn. So to a closed session, we'll have to ask people in the public to leave the session. Sarah?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Engels, seconded by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved that council retires to closed session at 10:15 a.m. to adopt closed minutes of a meeting held August 22nd, 2024, and to consider advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, specifically regarding a confidential complaint.
Any comments? In favor? That motion carried. Welcome back to our open session of council. We have left the closed meeting in which we discussed advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, specifically regarding a confidential complaint. Item 20, confirmatory bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Engels, be resolved that bylaw 2024-61, being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of council for its regular meeting held October 4th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Comments? In favor? Carried. So we're down to adjournment. Item 21.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Engels, seconded by Counselor Hermer, be resolved that council adjourns the meeting at 10:34 a.m. until October 25th, 2024, or at the call of the chair.
Comments? In favor? Meeting's adjourned.